Hey FlossTube, this is Brian. Welcome back. This is my 60th FlossTube video. And in this video I plan on sharing with you what I have been stitching this week. But first of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And I have had a lot of people subscribe to me this week. So I know that there's lots of new people. So welcome to my channel. I'm not quite sure what caused that. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm really grateful that you have decided to come and subscribe to my videos. If you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. So it's been a pretty good week. We finally got rain. Monday night, we had a huge rainstorm and it was really wonderful. It cooled things off. So yeah, it was a really nice storm. It rained for several hours, and even in the morning it was a little bit drizzly. I'm sure people in other parts of the country think it's really strange to have somebody obsess over rain like that, but we get it so rarely down here that when we get a good storm, it's kind of an event. The first thing I want to do is I just want to respond to one comment. I had Marilli. She mentioned red and said that she missed seeing it, and I'm not sure if she saw that I'd finished it. I finished red a couple of years ago, and I guess since she mentioned it, I'll show you red. This is a design by Mirabilia that I stitched. And I really like her and how she turned out as well. What I really like about her is all of her beads, and I especially like there are beads around the perimeter of her cloak that I just really find fascinating. They're like a bluish greenish bead, and they're really pretty. So this is a design by Mirabilia, and it's stitched on, I think this is 32 count French lace linen. And I know that you're going to tell me that this needs to be framed too, and I agree, but she'll be framed sometime. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit closer look at her. I think it's the beads that really make this design. So, and she was pretty fun to stitch. This is the first time that I've ever beaded it to this extent, and I'm really, like I say, I'm really happy with how she turned out. I've been going through some of my stuff, and I found a couple of other things that I thought I'd show you that I haven't shown you before. And one of the things that I found was the first piece that I ever cross-stitched, and I thought I'd share it with you. It's kind of cringeworthy, but here it is. This is, as I mentioned, my wife taught me how to cross-stitch, and we went down to a store and looked through cross-stitch books, and I chose a book that had several designs featuring cars, and this is the one that I stitched. It's a 1932 Chevrolet, and yeah, this is the first thing I ever stitched. And I look at it now, and it looks to me like my tension was a little bit tight because the coverage through here on that with that dark blue isn't really good. You can see X's. Like I think this was 14 count Ada that I stitched it on. And you can also see that I used a hoop, and I didn't do anything to protect the design. So you can see there's like lines in where the hoop was and where the oils from my skin collected dirt. So yeah, it looks really kind of gungy, kind of grungy. But it was fun to stitch. This is what started it all. So yeah, this was like a Stony Creek book, I think, and I still have it. There's several different cars in there. And at the time I thought I was going to stitch all of them, and I got distracted by other things. But yeah, there it is. The very first thing that I ever stitched. I'll show you something else. I have been reading this book. Not all of it. I've been going through Greek plays recently. I've read the Agamemnon trilogy, and I've also read Prometheus Bound. Last week I finished Oedipus Rex, and now I'm reading Antigone, which is written by the same playwright as by Sophocles. But this is what I use for a bookmark. I stitched this. This was my first Teresa Wensler. This is called Stretch. This was a freebie that was available on her website. And I decided to stitch this because I was worried about having to deal with all the blended threads, and I thought this would be a good way to figure out how to stitch something small and stitch with blended threads. So this is the first Teresa Wensler that I ever stitched, and I really like Stretch. He is also available. She had a design called Fortunate Traveler, I think, that also features Stretch. And yeah, so I did this, and then I gave it to my mom, and she made a bookmark out of it. It's just backed with like muslin, I guess that's what this is. So yeah, so that's what I use for a bookmark. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I have been working on this week. Last week I told you I still hadn't made up my mind, and I came close to starting a couple of things. I almost started Miss Hathaway's Garden, which is a design by Marty Bell. Well, it's a painting by Marty Bell that has been adapted into cross stitch, and I decided my fabric was too small for that. So I'm going to have to get a different size fabric to stitch Miss Hathaway's Garden. And then, I decided I was going to stitch this. This is Queen Anne's Lace. It's a design by Marilyn Levitt-Imblum of Lavender and Lace, under her Lavender and Lace brand. And I have wanted to stitch this for a very long time. I was a little bit nervous about all of the yellow in her dress, because yellow is really not one of my favorite colors to stitch with. But we'll see how this goes. So far I'm really enjoying it. So I am stitching this on the called for 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen, and I'm stitching with the recommended colors. And this is what it looks like so far. So if you look at this, I'll put this up here. I started over here, and I think that this is, I think you'd call this an overdress. I mean, I think it looks like, anyway. And so I stitched a lot of that, and then I'm starting to see some of the background here. As you can see, I've also hit her main skirt, this yellow here. And just working on this, it has been really fun. So far this has been a really easy stitch, because it's basically blocks of color, which means that I don't have to change the thread on my needle all that much. And so it's really easy. I can stitch one color in the block and then move to the next one and the next one. And what really, I can tell this is going to be really special, and what makes it really special is all of the blending filament. And I don't know that you're going to see any sparkle, but there is a lot of sparkle. In this blue part of her dress, the blending filament that is used is Krennic Vatican Gold. And it's really a very pale gold. It almost looks silver. It's so pale. And it just looks wonderful. And it's really sparkly. And it's in this design. You can see kind of a diamond design that's spread throughout the whole piece. And then over in the yellow, there's also blending filament. This is antique gold, and it's more of an orangey gold color. And this is going to be spread throughout her dress in this kind of, I think that's a Greek cross. That's going to be spread throughout all her dress as well. And you can see there's a row of blending filament along the bottom as well. Here there's a gap between the blending filament and the stitch piece. That is because there's going to be a row of beads running along the bottom of her dress. So far I am really loving how this is turning out. And because I really accomplished a lot more than I expected to. And actually the middle of the bottom is right here, so I'm already halfway across the bottom of the chart. Things are going to kind of slow down a little bit because her dress, the bottom of the chart is actually kind of down here a little bit, and her dress is going to come down by quite a bit. And so my diagonals are going to suddenly get, when I get down here again, my diagonal is going to get suddenly very long. So yeah. But as I say, I'm really enjoying this, and I can tell that she is going to be very special just by all the sparkle. I thought about leaving the blending filament till the end, but I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough. So what I'm doing is I'm stitching the floss all the way down the diagonal, and then after I finish the diagonal, I go back in and fill the blending filament. The reason why I'm not doing the blending filament, sorry, I'm saying blending filament, it's cord, it's metallic cord. The reason why I'm not doing the metallic cord as I stitch is because I have a hard time threading my needle with it, and so the ends fray as you stitch, and it just makes it worse. So I'm not parking it. I'm just going in and using one length at a time. I know I'm going to have to buy more blending filament because this right here has used about a half of a spool of blending filament. So blending filament, there we go again, a metallic cord. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to work. I really enjoyed working on that piece, and I'm looking forward to seeing her take shape some more. Okay. I have decided to do something a little bit different going through my rotation. I know that there are people who use the Tiny Decisions app to decide what they're going to stitch, and I have always had a hard time deciding how I would want to do that, but I've decided that I want to I want to add a little bit of spice to my rotation this time around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Tiny Decisions app to help me decide what I'm going to, the order that I'm going to stitch my rotation this time. So I've entered all of my projects in. This is on my Kindle, and it's ready to go. And I am going to spin the wheel to see what I am going to work on next week. And this includes a new start. So there's one thing, if it comes back up, if it tells me Queen Anne's Lace, I'm going to reset the wheel and spin it again because I don't want to work on Queen Anne's Lace 2 weeks in a row. So this is set up so that it will only choose once a design is chosen, it can't choose that design again until all of the designs are chosen. That way, I'm still going through my rotation. I'm just kind of letting this decide what order that rotation is. So here goes nothing. I'm going to spin it. We'll see what we're going to be stitching this week. So here it goes. And it says, A Saviour's Praise. I'm kind of happy about that. Yeah, I am happy about that. So this week, I'm going to be stitching a Saviour's Praise. Of course, this is the design by Teresa Vinette of Shakespeare's Peddler. And if you'll hold on just a minute, I have it over here and I'll pick it up. But this is what it will look like when it's finished. And I'll show you what it looks like now. So I am stitching with the called for anchor floss, and I am stitching it on the suggested fabric, which was 40 count Beach Brew. And I am stitching this over, that was backwards. I am stitching this over 2 on 40 count. I had a question about whether or not there's any over 1 stitching on this piece. There is no over 1 stitching, it is all over 2. Even the words are over 2. So this is what it looks like right now. So let me see, what I'm going to be doing, I think, is I'm going to come over here and fill in the rest of this block, the rest of the verse, and fill in this, and then I'm going to start working over here. And there is a word here, piety, and as I've said before, I am changing some of the words. I'm changing them to match a verse in the Doctrine and Covenants that I like those words better. So piety is over here. I am going to replace it with virtue. So so I have to actually sit down and chart out how I'm going to fit virtue in here, because virtue of course has more letters than piety does. Yeah. Somebody asked me if I was going to make the changes that I make, the changes in the words available. And I think I can do that. I will just have to decide the best way to do that. But so I'll consider doing that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to work on this again. I was sad to put this up the last time I worked on it, and I'm glad to have it come back up again so soon. So yeah. So next week we'll be working on a Saviour's Praise. So that's all that I have for you. As always, you can follow my daily progress on Instagram. I am at blitstitch on Instagram. And I hope that you have a great week. Thank you once again for spending time with me. If you haven't, feel free to subscribe to my channel so that you can see my updates, see when I post videos. Feel free to like this video, and I am always willing to answer any comments or questions that you have. So once again, I hope that you have a great week, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.